Yeah, they try to put me in a box I don't fit. Try to make me blend in, I won't quit. God made me on purpose with intention. Every quirk, every flaw is part of the mission. They say I'm too much and not enough. Too loud, too quiet, too soft, too tough. But I was crafted by the master's hand. They don't understand, but that wasn't the plan.
Hi. Have you ever had to grieve like someone who's still alive or grieve a future that never happened? Sometimes heartbreak isn't just about like losing a person. It's about like losing what you thought life would look like. And that kind of loss is real. Welcome to the channel. I'm Coach Melinda, and this is where faith, healing, and emotional wellness meet. If you're grieving at the end of a relationship or the loss of what you believe would be, this is a safe place. Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. So, today we're going to talk about grieving the loss of a relationship. This is part of my series, and as I stated in the last video, that was the first of the series, that I've been studying different things on grieving and coming up with tools and techniques and things that can help you through what you're going through. Um, as I stated previously, I take notes. I'm a nurse, and so I love learning new things. So I take my notes, and then I kind of make sure I put them all down so I don't miss telling you anything or trying to communicate anything that I need to get through. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at, what my notes are that I took in regards to this subject. So, grieving the loss of a relationship, let's get into it. When a relationship ends, you don't just lose a person, you lose those shared routines, future plans, the comfort of familiarity, the version of yourself um, while you were in that relationship. And sometimes the pain isn't even just about who they were. It's about who you were becoming. And so that really can feel like a real huge loss sometimes. Sometimes not. Sometimes, it may be a blessing, but for some, it may be a loss. So let's talk about grieving what you thought would be. One of the hardest parts of heartbreak is grieving expectation. The imagined wedding, the future family, the long term companionship, the story you quietly wore in your heart or what you told yourself that it would be. Um, you essentially attach to the possibility. And when the possibility kind of dies out, your heart feels it like instantly. It feels like a heaviness. And you're not dramatic for grieving something that didn't fully exist. You're human. It's human nature. The heartbreak sometimes may lead to unmet expectations. Some may say that, these are the things that I wanted and they weren't met. So let's talk about the heartbreak of unmet expectations and what that is. So, unmet expectations can wound deeply because they shake your sense of certainty, essentially, like your safety mechanism, like feeling safe. You begin questioning stuff like, was this ever even real? Did I miss the signs? Will I even be able to trust again? But here's the truth. Here's the real truth to this. Disappointment does not mean you were foolish. It means you were hopeful. Okay? Um, and hope is not a weakness. So let's look at what the Bible says about, hope and letting go, or in regards to faith. So Proverbs 3:5 and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways Submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So I'll read it again. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So sometimes letting go doesn't make sense. Sometimes it hurts deeply. But faith allows you to say, you know what? I don't understand this ending, but I trust that God sees what I cannot. Letting go with faith is not pretending it didn't matter. It's choosing trust over bitterness. So let's talk about, okay, we are in this situation. We've lost control because it's over. Maybe you didn't want it. Maybe you did want it and you knew it had to happen, but it didn't still hurt. It didn't stop it from hurting, even though sometimes you let things go that need to be let go, but it still doesn't stop the fact that it actually hurts, right? So how do you find peace? How do you find peace without having bitterness? Let's get into it. So after heartbreak, it's easy to harden, very easy to just become so hard because those walls go up. You're so hurt. You feel like I'm never going to let somebody do this to me again. It's very easy to harden, to say, I'll never open up again. Again, building walls, carrying resentment quietly. But guess what happens? When you do that, bitterness, it steals your peace. It just slowly kind of chips away at your peace. And peace after heartbreak, this is what it looks like when you actually get to the point where you have peace after the heartbreak. You begin to release what wasn't aligned anyway. Some may say, you know what, I realized that, during the midst of it, it was hard, but I did realize that we were unequally yoked, meaning we weren't on the same page. We weren't aligned anyway. Another example of having peace after heartbreak looks like forgiving without reconnecting. That looks like, I forgive you, but you don't get to keep calling me and spinning the block because you got out there, tested all this stuff and all that, or these different people or different scenarios, and you found out the grass wasn't greener on the other side. No, ma'am. No, sir. Once we're done and that chapter is closed, I can forgive you, but we don't need to keep in contact. I'm good. Accepting without chasing closure, that's a hard one. Or accepting without, choosing to feel like you have to have closure. That's a hard one because sometimes you want to know, like, why? Like, why would they even do that? Like, why would somebody even do something like that? Or they just left. They didn't even give me a call or anything. You just stopped answering my calls. You left me on red. You didn't even prioritize me. You told me you would never do something like this. But you know what? In having peace, sometimes you have to accept without chasing closure. Because in reality, when you look at it, if you look at it analytically, I'm analytical, so I'm always analyzing things. But if they don't answer you or they don't give you closure, that's your closure. They didn't want to for whatever reason. So that is the closure. Another example of finding peace without bitterness can look like protecting your heart without closing it. You can let go without becoming bitter. You can move forward without pretending it didn't hurt. And you can trust again, but wisely. And that protecting your heart without closing it, that one is another big one because it's natural to want to protect yourself, especially after, coming out of something and you were so hurt or you felt like you were done so wrong. And it might be rightfully so. But think about it. Like once you heal, and that is the key, you need to heal before you get into another relationship that's serious. Once you heal and then you get into another relationship, you don't want to bleed on the other person because they weren't there. It's not their fault, like what somebody else did. So it's not fair to them to make them pay for what someone else did. So that's why it's important to make sure you protect your heart, but don't close it. And then in closing, if you're grieving a relationship, a future, or a dream that didn't unfold the way that you had hoped, you're not weak, sis. You're not weak, brother. If you're grieving it, it didn't work, you hope for it, that's not natural to feel like, dang, I thought we was going to go all the way. I could see a future with this person. But just remember, God knows. He knows best. And how many times have you been into a relationship or something with someone and then it didn't work out? And then later down the line, it's like, well, thank God he got me out. I'm glad it wasn't me. Next thing you know, it's a hot mess express and all that. So it may not feel like it, like right when you're going through it, but sometimes it's best. And to me, if it's meant to be, it will be. Like, if it's meant for you to be with that person and they are genuinely a good person, they did the work and all that, and if it was something that's not detrimental, hey, what's meant to be is gonna be. Nobody could stop what actually is meant to be, but you have to kind of do your work on yourself to heal, to be able to look clearly. And so, if you are grieving a relationship, a future, or a dream that didn't unfold the way you hoped, again, you're not weak. You're healing. It's normal. You're healing. And God is near the brokenhearted. So remember, He is near the brokenhearted. He knows your pain. So that concludes our mini message for today. I hope that gave you some hope. Again, this is part of our faith healing and emotional wellness series. And we're learning to heal emotionally and spiritually after any trauma or loss. If this message spoke to you, like, share, subscribe for any faith based encouragement, healing, and peace. I love peace, and so we're going to be working on things that draw us to peace. We're going to be trying to heal through things and guide you on your way to try to step out of some things that may be holding you back. If you are experiencing something that where you need to seek and talk to someone professionally, please get the help. Please get the help that you need. I don't want you to sit and kind of let everything fester and deal with everything on your own. Again, also use your community or your trusted confidants to kind of let it out. Don't let it like fester inside to where it's like hurting you or like you're getting migraines or, physically it's hurting you. So I hope this was helpful. As always, I'm sending you love, peace, joy, and happiness. I hope you enjoyed this film. I hope you enjoyed this message. And other little caveat that I wanted to throw in, like my allergies are really bad. It has nothing to do with the message, but um, if you see my eyes like dark or my eyes look a little puffy, it's because I have really bad allergies. I moved to the South and it's tearing me up as far as like my allergies. And I'm natural, like I don't wear makeup or anything like that. And so whatever is happening, it kind of shows on my face. So if you see my eyes and they look puffy or dark, I'm anemic and these allergies are like tearing me up here. But aside from that, again, I'm wishing you that you have peace, love, joy, and happiness. Let's live a peaceful life together. Have a